the idea is to come to some kind of clarity. What's the nekuda of this Mamar? Basi Legani Tavshach of Gimel. Says, first of all, we have to clarify what's happening in Basi Legani Tavshin Yud. Just the kitzer to one nekuda to understand what's the word over there. To understand what's the Rebbe Tutuf, the Chiddush of Tavshach of Gimel. And then in that gufa, it really works in two stages. So the way it works, just in ein word, in Tavshin Yud, we're in the middle of explaining what's L'mayla Adin Kate. So in the process of explaining L'mayla Adin Kate, there's a discussion, what's the taich L'mata Adin Tachlis? So to understand what's L'mata Adin Tachlis, is da a ganze Reit, that Lamata Adin Tachlis is the taich that Ein Sof, Sai expresses itself in the Bria, and Sai is found in the Bria. In the Lashon of the Rebbe, it's Sai in the Eifon of his Havus, that you could tell in the Nivra that it's coming from something that's Ein Sof, and Sai that the Asizdo Ein Sof in the Bria. And that's the word in Perik Yud Gimel. Now, the Lashon of the Frierdiker Rebbe is as the Spashtus Vigil, or the Vigil Spashtus. Now, it's important to point out that the Pashtus, when the Frierdiker Rebbe uses these Lashonos, it's a careful Lashon. Meret wegen the Spashtus, the Gil Spashtus. The Frierdiker Rebbe says it in this Seder. First he says the Gili, then there's Pashtus. He's not saying it in stages. But the Rebbe picks up on this Lashon, and the Rebbe takes it as Sedot Tzvei Inyanim in Chassidus, is Pashtus and Gili, and we want to discuss over here the difference between these two. So the Rebbe zooms in on these two Lashonos. Now it's interesting to note that the Hamshech Basi Legani Tavshin Yud is really Tafresh Pei Gimel. That's when it was said. Tafresh Pei Gimel is meyused on Tafresh Pei from the Rebbe Rashab. Over there isn't these Lashonos, it's Pashtus Vigil. So really what's happening in Tafshin Chav Gimel is the taich that the Rebbe is somehow celebrating the Chiddush of what the Frierdiker Rebbe did over the Rebbe Rashab and will herausbringen was da geschehen. So the Pashtus is Pashtus Vigilui, Tavshin, but zugelegt Lashon. The Rebbe is showing that no, we're taking seriously every word, and this is the ufta over here in Tavshin Chav Gimel to understand the Chiddush. This all's happening in Tavshin Chav Gimel in this Hanocha in Siv Beis, Siv Gimel. The Noch in Siv Dalet, the Rebbe takes this to a whole new level. It says, Bis jetzt, der Redman, als Sachake, we took the Inyan of Ein Sof, Lamata Adin Tachlis, and what ausgeteilt, nicht stam is Pashtus na Echet Gil. Good. But it could still work really in the framework of Tavshin Yud. Just teaching us Tavshin Yud, a bisschen reicher. From Siv Dalet, the Rebbe is clearly learning a whole new mind. And it really becomes that es ist schon nicht Pshat in Tavshin Yud. We're taking Siv Yud Gimel to Inyam B'fnei Atzmei, and we could learn this as Siv Yud Gimel. What's the word? As a doa avede von Neshamas Yisrael. Und Neshamas Yisrael sind ein Mamshich, der Ein Sof, as a sein Lamata Adin Tachlis. And how does this happen? Es hat etwas zu tun mit Achat Bedore. This is already sebeitzich the ganze Mamar, which is really, once you understand properly Siv Dalet, L'chure, in Siv Dalet, in Tavshin Chav Gimel, that's the thrust of the Mamar, and everything else starts making sense a little bit more, really where the Rebbe wanted to come to. So B'kitzer, what we have over here is, if we'll do it in three stages. First, to clarify what's happening in Tavshin Yud. Then, what's the word, the uftu of his Pashtus Vigilui, and danach to Siv Dalet, wo da liegt the L'chure, the Nekuda of the mind. is so just Benegea Tavshin Yud, one ha'ara, which is important to understand, Senegea Bechlal and Chassidus, especially when we're learning Tavshin Yud, to understand what's happening. So steht in Zayar, as Ein Sof is Meir, as Ein Sof is hot in sich, Lamaila adin ketz or Lamata adin tachlis. That's a Lashon Hazeh. So in Chassidus Bechlal, Iberal, you have it in Samach Vav, you have it all over. What's Pshat? What's Pshat that Ein Sof has in it, Lamaila adin ketz or Lamata adin tachlis? By definition, Ein Sof, even the most pashta taich means it's Ein Sof. Ein Sof is bligvul, so hat nicht get. It's the opposite of Maila and Mata. It's nicht Maila, it's nicht Mata. We'll say it in other words, Maila adin ketz is like a cumulative. We're saying, as nicht nur da, se ich dort, se noch a Sach. It's not something which could be more or less. Ein Sof is Ein Sof. So there is a having in Chassidus to tie choice that the Mailo Mata is not referring to Ein Sof, Ein Sof. We're saying as Ein Sof, which is Taka Poshet, is gefindt sich in alle elements. And the elements have Mailo Mata, so that's the touch. Ein Sof is found everywhere. So the Rebbe Bavaran says in Venocha Yudalit, it says no. Eibazei, so it's not saying that Ein Sof has Mailo Mata. You're saying Sachakil that there's no place which doesn't have it. Izogazei, say less asar ponim. So obviously, what the Zayir over here is saying is that Ein Sof, that says the Eibishter Alein, before there's a musik of a tzimtzum or any kind of yachas, farmokt possesses L'mayla and mata mata. Now, there is the regular mahalach to explain this, and then there is Tavshin Yud. The regular Havana is as it. Mayla adin ketz, or mata adin tachlis is saying, as the Eibishter, nicht als Beir, als Eibishter, the Hainu, what's called in Chassidus Lifnei HaTzimtzum, has in him Saya Inyan that is obviously transcendent over the Bria. He doesn't have a Shaykhis. And Saya that he does have a Shaykhis. But Lashon HaChassidus Eiran Keich. So usually we would say that's the Ufta of the Tzimtzum. Lifnei HaTzimtzum, the Eibshah is nicht kemakar of the Bria, and the Ufta of the Tzimtzum, that's the whole production is to try to say as the Eibshah hat a Shaykhis. It's a makar from the Nivra. So be mechadish over here, no? The Eibishter hat bekeichach ha'agadol. The Eibishter has in him an inyan as a soll von einem herauskommen an inyan vom Bris. In very breiter terms, this is was mir sagt, dass der Eibishter hat inyan vom Bligvul und hat ein inyan vom Gvul. In potential. How it's found over there is another discussion, which obviously is not in Tavshin Yud. Wie says that toys? But that's what we want to get to. As tzedor inyan von Kayach, the Hainu, Lamata adin tachlis in Lifnei HaTzimtzum. And that's what we're saying over here. When we say the Eibishter Ein Sof, you'd think Ein Sof means Eibazei, the Nivra has no Shaykhis to him. Where does Nivra reach? Sachakel, in La'achar HaTzimtzum, as the Spheres, or the Akre, however you're going to say. Say no. However high you're going to reach in the Eibishter, we're talking Ein Sof, hat ha'inyan from Lamata adin tachlis. What's the Taish L'mayla adin ketz? Pashtus, that's the obvious. As is Hecher from Welt. That's the Pashtus of Ein Sof, the Bligvul. In Tavshin Yud, we're saying in ganz eine andere Wort, and it's in a way an opposite word. It's not stira, but it's coming from a totally different direction. We're saying like this: the Eibishter is a mocker for the Bria. What's the mocker for the Bria? The Pashtus, the Gvul, as a spheres. You can maybe even find it in Lifnei HaTzimtzum Kanal. Sagt man nein. Ein Sof, the Hainu, the Pshitas, the Bligvul of the Eibishter, is found in Lamata Adin Tachlis. So we're not talking over here about the Kayach of the Eibishter. Fakert. We're talking about the Eir. We're talking about the Bligvul. And that is Nimtza in der Welt. The world is Gvul. Good. That's the idea of Chayis, that you see V'atem Chayis Kulam, that even though he comes into the world, Im Kol Zeh, he's connected, and Eine Mishtane, and he remains Be'etzem Inyan of Bligvul. So we're saying as Ein Sof is Nimtza Lamata Adin Tachlis. We're clearly saying a different word. Maybe to summarize, just to clarify. But derech klal was meret is that we're trying to find the nivra in Beire. Und noch hecher, nicht stam in Beire, in hecher von Beire, in der Eibster allein. In Tafshin Yud, we're trying to find Beire in nivra. Und nicht stam Beire, noch hecher, in Sof, wie gefindt sich in der nivra. So the conversation is what the nivra looks like, not what the Beire looks like. Actually, to be mamchish this, to haben klar, einmal man lernt, was Chassidus sagt und danach da was Chassidus will. Sometimes it makes clear and pashat in pshat, like what are we saying over here? You can have a matzav, a father has a conversation with his son. So the pashtus is that the father has a full life, the hainu science man and science interests, which has nothing to do with his son. When Yesh got married at some point, and he has his whole inyonim, his nefesh, his kekes, his things he believes in, he wants. Tenoch is not the fact that Bein Ashar, one of the things that he has children. And that's where he begins being a father. So by pastors, the relationship of the father with the child begins from a certain place in his nefesh. But there's a higher, a deeper place where dorten bin ich getate, dorten bin ich. So over here you have a father telling a child that's not true. There's no part in me where you don't belong. There's no part where I could say, over here, I don't care about you. Over here, bin ich hechert von dir. Ein Yachas von a Kind mit der Taten ist, as Sedetzen von Taten. I understand you started, it only began from a chitzenistic stage. That's a good question, how and why. Aber es ist doch kein Ort und kein Indien, where I don't care. As Meret, in Aveda, in was Chassidus will da sagen, was Chassidus will sagen. Als se da in Welt, Entschuldigung, se da in der Eibischte, ist auch außer Haslamata den Tachlis. So we're saying a very, very strong statement. We're saying that this Nivra, Gvul, unsere Welt, ist Tefus Mokim bei der Eibischte nicht nur in Atzilus, which is the way we usually talk in Chassidus, as Psichas and Tapuach, and Gefinnen and Chazid Atzilus, and everything over here has value and weight and importance by the Eibishter. But usually we mean by the Beire, by the Eibishter, the way he's a marker for us. We say no. Ein Sof hat Inyan von Lamata den Tachlis. There's no part in him where we don't exist. It's an again for mitzvahs, and again for Vedas, and again about the importance of the Bria. Yeah, the Chassidus, right, wegen the Nutzen Teva. This is all understanding how important we are by the Eibishter. Then there's another conversation. Tate sagt zu the Kinder, you have a whole life. Now, there is the pastors, what you learn, what things that are important to you. And then there's your shtusim. And then there's even worse than your shtusim. There's your shtiferai, and then there's when you make yourself stupid, and when do zindigs. And then there's the things that you do which are befeirish gerem agams nefesh. where in your life do I exist? So you're going to think that I have a shaykhis mistame care about what du lernst, what du tust kfiaratz. The niedrigere places, and the shtussim, and the v'cholu, over there, I'm not with you there. For sure, if you're talking about the very me, or the their I, which is the etzem, I can have a shaykhs with that. So we're saying no, Ein Sof is lemata mata adei tachlis. There's no art in the tachten wo is nicht voran. Und nicht stam alle. In other words, usually we're saying the way the Nivra exists in the Eibishter. Now we're saying the way the Eibishter exists and is found in the Nivra. Und das ist der Wort, the Maskana of the Maimer, Kila Yidach Mimenu Nidach. That in every place where the Nivra is, Dorten is the Eibishter Faran. So das ist der Teich, as Ein Sof allein is lamata adin tachlis und dort eine Mishtani bleibt in Sof. This Nakuda is clear? Yeah. Just if you need a Maramokin for the clarity, making the beautiful the contrast between these two biurim in Ein Sof lamata adin tachlis is in Sodom v'Nochi Yudalad and Aara. Over there it's beferish. The Rebbe brings over there both the biur from the pnim, and then he says, "Oben and Hamshach was Legani Tovshin Yud is faket." Is a andere word, and this is this chiluk. Okay. Before we go weiter, anyone wants to clarify anything? Zugeben, abschlagen. Don't hebt sich on from this point, which is happening in Tovshin Yud, which is really a Akdome. We're in the middle of a process to discuss the pashtus Lamayla Adin Ketz. But while we're here understanding what's Lamata Adin Tachlis. So the Friedrich Rebbe uses the Lashenes as is in a even from Gilui and an even from his pashtus. And that's how this Ein Sof is nimtza in the Kila Yidach Meno Nidach, as Ein Sof is nimtza in the Nivra everywhere, in every place of the Nivra. So the Rebbe over here, and in the Hanoche, it's come upon him, as it was Sai Gilu and Sai Pashtus, and if you listen to the recording, it's even more. Hanoche didn't put it in so many times, but it's very clear that this is over here what the Rebbe built up, Mechalik Zayin or Mechadish Zayin, where we're talking Sayin and from his Pashtus and Sayin from Gilu. So, in order to clarify and to get to the Nukuda, what's the other Uftu? Maybe it's good just to see inside. In Mahado da Anoche, this is the Anoche Verlag. Just to point out maybe 2 or 3 Nukudas over here in the mind which will clarify the difference between Gilead and his Pashtus. Oh, yeah, one of those. Shakti got Kuntres. It's on the wrong side. It's printed in the wrong. Adak. Okay. So, the way the Maimon works in Tafshin Yud is that we go in stages. First, we say that in Atzilus is nicht kein Chiddush that Ein Sof is nimmt. So that's bechlal not considered matter. And then we say, what's the touch? Ein Sof is mer lamato, is in Biyah. That's a Chiddush, that's a Pella. And then it's even more of a Pella that is nimmt in Elam Hazeh and Biz, that we say, Taka, what's the Ein Tachlis? Split up. There's the lamato, then there's Ein Tachlis, and then as he adds, Madrevis HaYes Tachtenis, VaYes Achrenis, that still he comes as Ein Sof is found even in Klyne. But in Sif Beis we're discussing the Einay Pella. As in Atzilus and Ishkin Pella that Ein Sof is over there found. Just Lahoyer, Maimer HaMuzger. The Pashtus, it's It's unnecessary, like to talk about the Ene Pella, and the whole Arich is the Ene Pella. We want to talk about what is a Pella. But hopefully we'll get to it. The way the Rebbe learns the Maimer, the way it works out from Siv Dalet in Tavshin Chav Gimel, it's an Egeya for the Vart to understand that Atzilus is Ene Pella. We'll get there. But in the process of understanding why Ene Pella, so he says, why? Because Kelim da Atzilus Harei Melakus Mamish. So let's see the Lashon of the Frierdiker Rebbe as it's quoted over here. It's in page base in the Mamar Basi Legani Chav Gimel. Shura Mescheles Begil. So sagt der Frierdiker Rebbe, Liyes de Gamma Kelim da Atzilus Harei Melakus Mamish. Vim Kein, number one, Ein Pella Klal da Ein Sof Meir Shom Begil. Two, V'chein Ein Pella Mashem Yichelim Lekabel Ein Sof Hagam. So it's a Bavaranish that Nish Stam, it's Ein Sof is Meir over there Begilui. It's also that the Kelim could be Mekabel. V'hainu. Now the Rebbe's teaching goes what the Frierdiker Rebbe said. And the Rebbe teaches these two stages in an interesting way. Number one, what the Frierdiker Rebbe said, Ein Sof Meir Shom Begilui, he says, She'ein ze Pella she'ein Sof yochel leispashet shom, ispashtus. And the second word, Vafil ein ze Pella she'ein Sof yochel shom Begilui, Gilui. So the Rebbe is taking these two Lashonos of the Frierdiker Rebbe and saying it's ispashtus and Gilui. So, obviously, what we have to understand is, first of all, why are these two things these two things? I mean, what's the shaykhis between saying that Ein Sof Yochel Liyah Shom Begilui and Shakelim Yichelim Lekabel is the idea of Espashtus and Gilui. And Baker, what's the difference between Espashtus and Gilui? That's Pashut. So, let's just Pashut Bavarin in Pshat. This is important to understand what the Rebbe did over. If you read the Frierdiker Rebbe, but Pashtus, sounds like he's saying, as is done mitzad ha'er or mitzad ha'kelim. Mitzad ha'er, Ein Sof Yochel Liyah Shom Begilui. And then there's the Kelim Yichelim Lekabel, which would obviously be wrong pshat. The discussion over here is not about Kelim. We're trying to explain how Ein Sof is Meir Lamata Mata Adin Tachlis. If the Kelim could be Mekabel or not, this has nothing to do with our conversation. So obviously these are two stages in the vart of his pashtus of Ein Sof. So this is what the Rebbe is bavarening. Pasha, you shouldn't have a misunderstanding of what the Frierdiker Rebbe is saying. We're not saying the Eir could be Meir and the Kelim could be Mekabel. We're saying is, as it's Tzvein Yonim in Eir. Eir could be Meir Begilui in even of his pashtus. And what's the type of the Kelim Yichelim Lekabel? That's an Inyan of Gili HaEir. It's another idea in Eir. So we're helping Pashat in Pshat in the Maimer as his Tzvein Yonim in Eir, his pashtus and Gili. So we understand why it's necessary for the Rebbe to say this, because this is what we're saying in Tavshin Yud. But Agufa, what's the difference between his pashtus and Gili? We still need to clarify. Another nekuda, which it's kedai to shtel zich on. Back over here, this lashon, Shura Mescheles Begilui, the Frierdiker Rebbe says that why is in Kelim da Atzilus is not Meir Ein Sof and it's not a Pella because the Kelim da Atzilus Harei Melakus Mamish. So since it's a Lakus, it's not a Pella that I should carry Ein Sof. What's that supposed to mean? Why not? Kelim is Gvul of a Lakus. So Gvul should carry Bli Gvul? Ach, verstehst du Lakus? So what? How's that helping him Pshat? And therefore ain't a Pella. Only a Pella in Biyah. I mean, an Eiver is Mugbul. Therefore he could take a certain Keach. So what's the difference if it's a Lakus or not? Now, it's interesting, when the Rebbe touched this word, the Rebbe added a few words. And it looks like the Rebbe is saying a tifere havone in what's a pshat that kelim that is can be makabel alakus. Believe. We go on page Yud Gimel. The Rabbi says, quote, Shura Mascheles Bahamayme, she'ein pele klal da'erin sof meresham begili, shareim kelim le'erin sof. V'hainu, leik the Rabbi zu, mitzad inyan ha'achtus. Kiven sha'achtus ikli lekabel le'erin sof. Shalchein gam ha'kelim da'atzil es reim alakus mamish, sharei yu v'gar meicha. So, we're saying a totally new word. Nicht as because it's a lakus it could be mekabel, because it's achtus it could be mekabel, and therefore he's a lakus, and therefore it's dort merer and stuff. So, what we need to clarify is the difference between ispashtus and gili, and the difference between saying as zereim a lakus mamish and saying this new word as mitzad achtus is achtus a kli lekabel and stuff. Stame would make sense to say that these two inyanim, the two shinuyim that the Rebbe made in the Frierdiker Rebbe, l'chora have to do with each other. One last word, Zeit left a bissel, but just one last nekuda, the nekuda of Siv Gimel. Siv Gimel, the Rebbe learns an interesting pshat. I'm not going to go through the whole cheshbon now. But the punchline is that the levushim, the hainu, usually machshava dibra ma'asim, and lamayla it's bli yitzira asiyah, are not mekabel from each other, and the relationship to Atzilus is not one further than another, but they're all b'shav. And that's the reason why the Frierdiker Rebbe brings Emei Elohim Mekanon B'Kurtzayah and the Hemshech of the Lashon, because he wants to say that it's not Yitzir is mekabel from Bria, no, Yitzir is mekabel from Atzilus equally to the way Bria is mekabel from Atzilus. So, first of all, this is very interesting. I mean, in Chassidus B'derech Chlal, what's the point of saying Seder Shalshis? If Yitzir is not lower, if he's not being mekabel from Bria, in what way is he Yitzir and not Bria? Was sagst du? V'ha'ikir, why is it negate our mind? What do we want to bring out from this verse? What's the Rebbe's verse? Okay. So, Akoponim in a few words, let's get to the difference between Hispashtus and Gil. First of all, let's start with the translation. What's the Lashon Hispashtus mean? Hispashtus means as you have someone or something which is spreading. Hispashtus, by definition, means whether you want or not, here I am. Hispashtus could be in an eifin that's overwhelming the Mekam. As we know, the Lashon L'moshel from the Meiser from the Tzemach Tzedek, the Rabbi brings in Basi Legani in Schuldig Pada B'Shalom Toshchov Beis. Yeah, that he complained that people are stepping on him. So he said, "Ad vosich mispashit given ganz bis medrish," then nobody would step on you. So what's this pashtus mean over there? He didn't ask anybody. It's not like anybody wanted him to be mispashit. That's a type of mispashit. A person walks into the room, he's being mispashtus by force. Gilui, by definition, means I'm coming within the terms of the Mekabel. Usually, Gilui means the Moshel in Perik Memches in Tanya. The Hagdoras Achilak between Seviv and Mamala is Helam and Gilui. So Seviv is not found in the Nivra less, but he's not Begoli. The Hainu, he's not speaking the language of the Mekabel. So Gilui means I'm here with you, as you understand it. So usually, I would say like this. Seviv, Bligvul, so come an Eifel of his Pashtas. Memale is an Eifel of Gilui. Da sagt mir eine interessante Sache. the uftu the Rebbe wants to stress in what Ein Sof is Meir Lamata Adin Tachlis is that Ein Sof Bligvul will come in Eifel of Gil. Which is interesting. How does that work? So the emissaries, the also his pashtus needs more asbar. What do you mean that you're coming not on my terms? So you're not here. Yeah? In Gashmis, there could be a musik of something out of place. As adochak v'nichnas. He's here even though he's not wanted. In Ruchni, what do you mean? You can't like force it's nemena ateretz and force it onto the kasha, even though it doesn't answer the kasha. So it's nicht da. It's nicht geteretz. It's not. It doesn't belong in the sugi. In Teichen, it's nicht da as a something shalebim came. So Ershes darf man verstehen, I feel was is pastors. You mean to be here in a way of overpower. And then we would need more work to understand what's the taich as se kommt in Eifen of Gil, as this Ein Sof is coming in Gil. So the taich, the pashtus, of what it means is pashtus, is these words because the Kelem Harei Melakus Mash. Now this lashon exists. It's in Chassidus you have in Mechus Samach Aleph, you have Bumeret wegen. Be'emes, it's a much broader question. Sagt, yeah, the Yom Tov, every time you tell a mitzvahs, you mamshech a taste for Eiris and Atzilus. You're bringing in of blig vul into Atzilus. Doesn't make sense. Atzilus is gvul. And the Eir was in Atzilus is an Eifen of gvul. That's the touch Eiris Mulpashim Bakel. So we say, no, somehow we change. I mean, half of Chassidus is saying that. Usually the maskana of every Maimer is to explain what would be Lulei, Asedah, Shabbos, or the Asedah, the Mitzvah, or the whatever, Mesiras Nefesh, whatever you're doing. The Uftu is, we bring an Ein Sof. What you say? That's the Kasha was Mifrekt. And the Teretz is, it works. Because Kelem Datzilis Hareim Elakus Mash. Okay. It's Elakus, but we know it's Elakus. It's Gvul, it's not Bligvul. So, let's first start with the dogma, and then we'll come to Hasbar. The dogma for them is was mezet in Nefesh Adam, that you see the mashal Bizman HaSimcha or the Bizman HaSakana, you see an inyan of blig vul being izgal in the Nefesh. Das heißt das. Normally I have Eivarim and I have Keiches. And the Keiches are mislabish lefi erech the Eivarim. So if I have a developed brain, so I have so much of my mind is based in the brain, so much of my seichel is in the meich. If I have, let's speak even more simple, the muscles, how much keich atnua is begal in my muscles, as strong as I am. Now if you want to become stronger, you can do that. But you have to do exercise. And exercise is mat, somehow you work your way up till a month later, you could carry what you couldn't carry a month ago. Or if your brain exercises, you could learn more because there's more gili aseichel. That's that you grew. Then there's a totally different seal. A person is bizman hasimcha. He could dance a whole night. He's not so strong. If somebody would come to him and pay him to dance on a ganze nacht, he would not be matzliach. He is not that strong. Or if somebody tell you, go run for 2 days straight, I can't. I would love to. You offer me a lot of money. I can't. The fact is, with Bizman HaSakana, it happens. So we see it's happening. Now, obviously, it's not pshat, let's just clarify, that the person became stronger. I mean, the next day, he's as weak as he was before. He's probably actually weaker. He's hurting. He did something shalei lefi erech ha'evarim. Noch in tanzen a ganze Nacht. I verstehe, you're besimcha g'deila, but you can't really do this. And in the end, what's going to have to happen is that he's going to have to recuperate and come back to his natural matzah. He didn't grow. What happened is that the nefesh, there was gili ha-nefesh, hakbaras atzur ala chemer, the nefesh was behispashtus, and therefore somehow the Ivarim rode with. Sie mitgefahren. So haben das gekannt vertragen. Das ist der Metzies. So how good for that was to how does that work? So we obviously have to say like this, that the Kelim, Harehem Elokus Mamish, Dahaim, the Ivarim, in Yonam is Inyan HaNefesh. And therefore, they are maskim to be Mikabel Nefesh. As we know, the Chiluk Bechlal between Levushim and Keiches, or between Levushim and Guf, is that the Guf doesn't exist without the Nefesh. Because he doesn't have any other Inyan. So because he doesn't have any, who am I in Yoni is to carry Nefesh. You can't have a Guf without a Nefesh. It disintegrates. So because this is my whole Inyan, therefore I'm ready to take any Inyan of Nefesh. Or we'll say a little bit different. The Keiches by definition, obviously the Keiches in Yonam is Seichel, and the way my Seichel works. But there is Kilu Nema, the identity of the Keiches. What are the Keiches coming to do? The Keiches, Vidaloshin is, they're Nafshi. Ha-Keiches heim Nafshi. I understand. But understanding is not just cognitive activity. It's not just processing information. Understanding means like this. I get it. There's a light bulb that goes on, and that's an experience of nefesh. And I identify with this svar. Al derech zeh, in Hergish. There's obviously, there's the mechanics of Hergish. How there's the chamimus in Ave, and there's the kibbutz in Yirden. That's not what Hergish is. Hergish is as ich hab lieb. There's an I. And the I of ich hab lieb, und ich hab meire, und ich verstehe, are not different I's. It's the same I. In other words, if we'll start fakert, why does the nefesh have keiches? Because the nefesh wanted to express itself. Because Kashem sheyichelte bebilti bagvul kach yichelte begvul. So what are the keiches in essence? Who are they? Not what are they. Who are they? What they are, his chesed, his gvurim. Who are you? Why do you exist? Because the nefesh wanted expression. So since your whole inyan is nefesh, whenever nefesh will express itself, you identify it. Because that's where you come from. You come from nefesh. Kilo Neymar says murgish in the gvul that he's really originally was a prat in the bligvul. So I understand today he's gvul. But don't tell me that you look at inyan of bligvul as totally fremde zach. You know me. This is where you come from. And in some place or another, deep in the nefesh, we are one. So now that you are a separate thing, versteh, but you're ready to host me. And that's why if we're going to say, let's speak mamish simple in the Evarim, yeah, when I could dance a whole night, because the guf calling yoni is to carry the nefesh. Originally, so even though he has his keiches, he has his specific tziyur, but he's ready to take a union of bligvul to carry it. Shalei b'tevos, not be'efem pnim. You could be mispashet on me because I identify with you. Because this is really where I come from. This was calling Yoni in Melachat. Das ist der Teich, der Wort von Hispashtus. So, Kilo Neymar, there's a back door in the Keiches, in the Spheres, in the Kelim Da'atzilis, which really connects me and allows for Bligvul to come in. Obviously, it's still an Eifel from Hispashtus. But it's working. Ad Kedei Kach in the Mamar, not just, it's saying in simple is in Keich HaTnuah. but there could be gilui of bli gvul in seichel. A pashta person could speak tzcholim nifloim b'zman hasimcha. Or a kamtzen could suddenly become a breita heart. And the cake is taka change. Even though tomorrow this person who's making the chassan, you have your fundraise, the best time is by a chassan. Because it's a state that there's a srachvus in nefesh. Simcha, that's tash simcha peirit together. So what's the simcha peirit together? That my own nefesh, the pshittus of the nefesh, is bursting through the gedarim of my nefesh. How does that happen? Because the nefesh melachatchila doesn't look at the bligvul, which is expressed in simcha. That's a fremde zach. It's not a foreign virus. I know you. Therefore, meretzich tzonayf, he could carry me. This is the regular pshat, as Meret, saying in Samach Aleph, Kelem Datzidas Harei Malakus Mamish. This is the lotion of the Frierdiker Rebbe to explain his pashtos of Ein Sof, Lamata Mata Adei Tachlis. So I chose Nish Lamata, the way is not Tzidus. Why not Tzidus? Is it not modern to see Ein Sof? Because Kelem Datzidas relate. They're ready to carry it. A geschmacke word, just it's always geschmack to see the way this Inyan is gefindt sich in der Rebbe's Teire. So there's a famous sikh, Mishpat im Chelik Tezayin. Tachtenim yalo al yenim yesh zala tachtenim. So towards the end of the sikh, basically the maskana is that tachtenim is seichel and al yenim is amun. So the shaila is, could seichel carry emunah? So seichel could be maskim as done. The shaila is, could seichel be permeated with emunah? The pashtus says no. I mean, seichel has his rules. So the Rebbe brings over there as a state in Samachal as kelem that tzilas harei melekos mamish. This is mamish this inyan. Therefore, an inyan of gvul could also carry bli gvul because melechatchila it's one thing. In other words, if you learn Seichel, if you learn Torah out pure logic, you're right. It's a fremde zach. There's no reason how you're going to bring an inyan of emunah. But if it's melachatchila expression, it's inyan aliki. So it's not only not going to be a stira, it's going to be felt in the higoyim as a doda emunah. It brings over that the Rebbe Rashab said as it's. Bei sich im Zimmer, und die öffnet alle gute Teire, fehlt Ein Sof. Fehlt Ein Sof. I think Ein Sof. Der hält Ein Sof. So he's overlooking the gute Teire, he's sitting down to learn. Aber wenn lernt, because by the Rebbe Nishmasei, when lernt, is the Chassidus not a Svar. No Chassidus is a Lakuz. So even though it's Seichel Aliki, Baltas is Seichel Aliki, kann sich anhören dorten also Ein Sof. This is the Pashta Pshat. This is the regular Hava. This is obviously all his Pashtas. Sachaka, what we did is, we rationalized how his Pashtas could work. Hayetochen as Bligvul, hat man reingeschmuggled, we smuggled in, Bligvul in Gvul, and he's ready to carry it. It's not Gili. Gili would mean, the Pashtas, like Mamar. That's where the real Lashon Gili is. As the Chayis is the Zach. He is him. He's talking his language. Fakir, you're telling me that I'm ready to take something which is not my language. For Haraya, the next day, he doesn't have it. So it's just pshat is that it's really there. The Rebbe over here wants to say, as the Be'en Arich from them, it's nicht, his pashtus is Gili. As in Sof is Nimtza and Atzilis and the Efen of Gili. So the shayla is, how do we get to that?
It's both.
It's Mashta Angular, right. So Spashto is fine. Spashto we've made peace with. The question is, how's the Gili going to work? So the Taj Gilu is going to have to mean, to first talk in the Hafshata of the Indian. It's going to have to mean that somehow or another, he is so bligvul that there's no hagbala or tzir on his expression. And he could express itself in every way. So usually we say, if Bli Gvul expresses itself, Bli Gvul could come into a place of Gvul. Rotzen can reinkommen in Keches. But he talks like Rotzen talks. In Eifen of Shlita Memshale, he's coming in Eifen of Bli Gvul. This Bli Gvul is an Azazar, he's so Bli Gvul, or I don't know if over here would work the word, he's not Mugdir in Bli Gvul. He could talk any language. That's how Bli Gvul is. And that's why he could be begin. So let's first maybe work backwards. Lamazen, the chiluk that the Rebbe made between the kelim that tzilis are kelim for itself because the Rebbe lekus mamish, and then we said another word because achtus is a kli le'insof, which is also a lashon was mekanim for chsidis. Klar, every union of achtus, yeah, barchenu avinu kolanu ka'echad, as a zechibur hafchim, that's a kli for itself. Now, this Inyan is coming by himself to the Iyo v'garmei chad, Iyo chayei chad, Iyo v'garmei chad. Just, if anyone remembers, last year, and I think also before, we brought the Mittler Rebbe, B'negei Iyo v'chayei, Iyo v'garmei chad. The Mittler Rebbe discusses over there the Inyan of Achdus in a very specific way. Is Bekitzer. There's two way funny in how to understand the scholars. One even of the scholars is Mevest, Eishu Mayim, or Shnei Sorim, Einen Mifnei HaMelech, they become bottom. Why do they become bottom? In Yoni is Chesed and in Yoni is Gvur. Malach Michal and Malach Gavriel. Because when you come in front of the Melech, you are overwhelmed by the Melech. Good. Overwhelmed by the Melech shouldn't make us ba'achtos. Overwhelmed by the Melech should make us shrike. Why are we ba'achtos? So the answer is because really, alibe de'em is, what is chesed if not nefesh? And what is gvura if not nefesh? So when chesed and gvura are behiskalus in the nefesh, ubelash nachsidis keich sakluli, because the nefesh is meir begolui, what is happening is he's reminding them about their real identity. Kol inyan chesed is a sug expression of nefesh. Kol inyan gvura is a sug expression of nefesh. Memele, you're going to cooperate. It's not even a vitter. You're being mevater. Dein inyan is nefesh, dein inyan is nefesh. You want each other's atzlach. It's nicht a besondere Sache. So that's the taich as chesed u gvura could be beiskalus because they're margish nefesh. So again, not just because over nefesh is overpowering, but over nefesh is somehow behispashtus in them. Memele, they're masking to each other. Aber sof. Obviously, chesed as chesed. I mean, when he walked out of the melech, is the nicht masking to gvura. It's tchunas a chesed and tchunas a gvura are still. When they remember their mocker, when the shliach comes back to the mishaleach, they can work together. What about a different kind of scholars? Chesed, when we have a conversation with him as he is chesed. Does chesed want to have anything to do with gvura? So we see a very interesting phenomenon. That in order to be a successful chesed, you have to be gvuris. This has nothing to do with the makkah. This is to do with who you are. Nishta. If you're not going to be a big gvuradik, you're going to be a failed chesed, and you're going to end up being the opposite of what you want to be. Yeah? So, du willst eine gute Tate, you have to take away the knife from the child. You want to be a good teacher, you want to give, you have to know how to be mitzantzah. Which is it's a very surprising thing. If you want to be one thing, you have to be at least a little bit of a different. You want to be a proper chair, you have to be a bit of a table. If I want to be this, I should be this business off. So element, mizet, as it's baked into the mitzias of every kayach. and every inyan to be beiskalus. Nothing to do with bittul ha'amaka. Why is that? Then muss man sagen, where it says, be'etzem ha'nefesh, everything is one. Since every keyach be'etzem comes from there, therefore the tchunas of chesed u'gvura are so that they monon iskalus. When you have iskalus, it's coming obviously from a place which is mitzad ha'etzem, the far montes der iskalus. And this is in Nosich and Chol Gimel. The achdus which is happening in the keli, not mitzad when the air is ma'achetem, mitzad the keli. Because of Ein Sof. That's the type of Barchino of Inu Klonik Echad. This is, in other words, not Ein Sof the way he's coming in the Eifen of his pashtus, the way Ein Sof is coming in my language. It's the sikum. Says, no, the way I talk to the Evarim, the way you're forced to host me because Tainidim is dachechet nefesh. That's his pashtus. But it's despite you. Then there is, it's bligvul in your language. So maybe, I don't know, it just sounds like that the Rebbe is saying over here, this word, as kelim da tzilis harei malakus mamish, is because kiven sha'achtus ikli lekabel ein sof has to do with this word, that what we mean to say over here is that ein sof is going to come an eifen of gil, nicht an eifen von his pashtus. Now, the problem is, all we did is we kicked the can down the road. What does it mean? Who's that, man? Such a musik that you have bligvul. If we brought dugma in Nefesh Adam hat man gebracht, as bligvul comes in a eifen of gvul, in a sprach of gvul, like bisman simcha. For espashtus haben wir as eichetimtz. Where do we see bligvul coming in gvul? Mitzad echad being gvul or leidach being bligvul? So, in the Hemshech Tavshin Yud, the maskone, where the punchline is, Vatam Chayes Kul, the Inyan von Chayes. The Rebbe already starts it over here in the Maimon. Where do we see Ein Sof Lamata Adin Tachlis is in Chayes. Now, let's just take 2 minutes to be magdir vos is Chayes. And maybe that will help us understand why we see Bli Gvul Ein Sof in a Eifen von Gil. Chayes is a very interesting thing. Yeah? We talk about Chayes, first we see it, and we talk about it in a very chitzenistic terms. We know that Chayes comes in Eifen of Nekude, Chayes brings tzmicha, Kol Chaim is Na'anea. There's a lot of tchunas of Chayes. What is Chayes? What is it? It's Mavur in Chassidus, and we always know that the Emes Chai is the Eibishter. Ad kedei kach, that Dveikus in the Eibishter, Atem Adveikim Avaya Lekechem, is Chai. He is Chayes. Avaya Lekim Emes, Hu Lekim Chai. No, he gives Chayes, he is Chai. The Eibishter is Vatu Melech Kil Chai V'Kai. What's the touch Chai? So, in ein word is Chai Azeh. The difference between a child, Uber B'Meimim, and a child, a born child, is one thing. Independent. In other words, Chai is this hargosha, this experience that I am supposed to be. In andere Wörter, if we'll speak like more Chire Sprach, is nicht kein Metzies Nimtza, he's a Atzm. Or what we call, he's a mechuyev liyis, mechuyev hametzias. I have to be. I'm supposed to be. Let's say just say a pashta expression. Growth. Why should something grow? Something has, I am this size. If the table could talk, in Yoni, he would say, I want to continue being. What? I want to be more. I want to be another one. Why should I want to be more than what I am? Mechetes. I don't want to be less. I want to be more. I am what I am. Look, my Metzias is gerade getroffen, als ich bin voran. Ich bin das. Fine. What I am, I am. And atzmi muzan. I have to be. It's impossible for me not to be. Therefore, there can't be any place or any inyan where I'm not. That's without getting into why Mechuyev Metzias is that way. But that's the tchuna of Mechuyev Metzias. When a Metzias Nimtza experiences atzmi, so he touches it up in this language. Metzias Nimtza by itself passes the Musik Tzmicha, and atzmi itself also obviously doesn't pass the Musik Tzmicha. There's no such thing as the atzmi growing. But it's the way the Metzias Nimtza has found an expression in himself of being, I'm supposed to be. I'm pushing to be. Therefore, I'm going to have more expression. I only speak the language of expression. So to me, being means another inch. So that's the type the tree is saying I have to be, so he grows more. Oh, but what's happening over here, it can't come mitzad him being a nimtza, it has to be mitzad him being a mechuyev mitzvahs. Muza. Even, let's say it in more a clearer expression of it, what's the first thing you see about something that's alive, that he fights to exist? You threaten his life, you block the tree, he'll try to continue growing from a different direction. You block the a fly, doesn't want to drown in water, will fight to somehow survive. What's he fighting to survive? I'm not. That's actually alive. Life is as chemuz. It's the Metzias Nimtza, the version of Atzmi. In other words, to be alive is a touch you connected to Etzem. It's nicht the touch. As Etzem HaNefesh provides a package called Chayis and delivers it to the Aver, because then the Aver wouldn't be Atzmi, wouldn't be alive. The touch is that the Aver is being margish as Etzem. In the language of Chassidus, it's called Ratzu V'Shuv. There has to be a constant chibur with the Etzem. It can't separate. Because that Chayis means Etzem. There's no other way of talking about it. And that's why it comes in even though you can't be half alive. V'chulu, in the Ale Inyanim, that's why it's Mugdir, as opposed to Eir, the Ale Inyanim, this is the word of Chayis. Come back to our conversation. So when I see something alive, is that gvul or bli gvul? Hab ich dor mitzad echad ha'inyan as ein sof? That's attached to life. But is he being shown on the mitzias or fakert? The thing that's alive is thriving, is growing. He's becoming more him. When Chayis, let's speak in the Aver. When Chayis HaNefesh comes in the Aver, is Chayis HaNefesh telling to the Aver, al derech bizman hasimche, you better ride with me and allow me to run over you and work through you? No. Chayis HaNefesh comes into the Aver and he enhances the Aver. And the Aver becomes more Aver. Becomes a healthy Aver, a frischer Aver, a aggressive Aver. So, mitzad echad, se'atzmi, se'in sof. Ule'idach, de zach alei vert levet. It's begod. Da habe ich a dogma for this Indian as Ein Sof. And this is the truth. Pashat even, the Hemshech of the Maimon, we're talking about Atzilus. We get reden wie the Chayis from the Rabbi brings in Sifhei, how you see everything grows. And then we're going to say that the Eibshter gives Chayis even to Klippe. And on every level, what's happening is if he's alive, it's not the touch is that if he's alive, it's only coming from the gvul of the Eibshter. A life has to be as Ein Sof. That's a type of life. Zet treffen mir de Ein Sof lemata mata adin tachlis. And in a Eifun of Gilui. Stop over here. Okay, we didn't get to the vart, to the vart of the vart. Huh? So optional. Whoever wants to leave. No, it shouldn't be like upset. Huh? Okay, akapanim bekitzer. Let's get to the. Okay, we'll skip. There's also Nikud in Siv Gimel. I mean, Mamish say it in one word. Siv Gimel. Once I understand the idea of Gilu over his pashtus, so I understand why we want that Biyah should be one word. If we're talking about his pashtus, and his pashtus, there's stages. It's cumulative. I could have more or less. Al derech v'lei mamish. It's a dugma recheka. Al derech, the famous sikh in Shmeis Chelik Vav. Yeah, the Mishkan worked in the eifn of that there's more Gil. So it's blikvul. So like Shlomo HaMelech's Chachma blikvul is nisgale with another mashal and another mashal and still shleish the love mashal. Every stage is more expression. The word that we want to say over here is it's fakert. As an ishdokin art where I can't be. And then it's going to be mitzad hakelim. In the language of the Sikh over them, it's sherish hakelim, tzachim and sherish, it's one nakud. So it doesn't work in the eifn as a kumt on in biyah. He is biyah. He is, and in that way, there's no difference between bria and asiyah. So we'll say a little bit different. If the chayis aleki needs dveikus, so they all have to be connected to atzilus in the same way. The yachas to atzilus, which is alakus, is the same. I understand that if we're talking in Giluyin, in Bittul, that's a different conversation. So in the Vushim, you have such a thing. But if we're talking over here about the Nekudas HaChayis, same word. Technically, in the Vushim, you also have this chiluk. Yeah? The all the Vushim, that begashmis, you wear a shirt and a jacket, and on that a coat. And then there's levushim that you can wear a hat and a jacket and shoes. So sometimes we talk about biyah and eifin that each one is further from the guf. Always say that each one is carrying a different part of the guf, but in their relation to guf, they're identical. Understand, asiya is grob. The shoes are greber than the jacket. True. But I can't say he's further from the guf. So likewise, over here, we say in biyah, the nekuda of chayis, it's the same. It's a zelbazach. Okay. Well, the ikar wanted to get to is the word of siddalt, the nekuda of neshamas. Let's just start on a few nekudas, maybe mamish etliche nekudas, and then was tut man darauf? In the Maimer in Tafshin Yud, the Frierdiker Rebbe brings, as levushim biyah is a pella that Ein Sof kommt on. How's that a pella? Because levushim. And levushim is doch nifrit. It's not like guf. How do we explain how levushim is nifrit? So mitamol rukt rein und levushim minayu parchen shmosn lebnei nosh. That from the levushim come neshamas. Elamai, the neshamas are the pnimi selam and the malachim chitzenius and the elam chitzenius the chitzenius. What are we doing over here? But pastors in the Lashon of the Frierdiker Rebbe is shvek. When we're used to this, especially in the Frierdiker Rebbe, suddenly there's like just as noch avot. So, but pastors before the Rebbe, yeah, so if we were to learn Tafshin Yud Vidas is, so l'chayre, the way we would have to teach it, it's not so geschmack in the Lashon, but there would be no choice. We would say like this: the Frierdiker Rebbe is coming to Bavarin that biyah is low. You're going to ask a kasha, levush, in parchin, ushmos, and nenosha. So, l'chura, biyaz neshamis. Neshamis is doch mamish, alakos. Everyone knows that neshamis is heilig, is davuk. So, how could you say that levushim alt nifred? So, the answer is no, that's fort levushim. Elamai, it's the pnimius, right? It's the pnimius. Amalachim is chitzenius. But when the Frierdiker Rebbe is saying that neshamas are pnimius, he's just trying to put a cap, a lid on how high levushim go. He's saying it's still part of levushim. It says tzelakus ab tzelakus shenas nivra. So umemela it's still biyah. Umemela it's still correct. It's accurate to say that in levushim in biyah it's a pella as tzelakus as it sof kum dort no. So it's a bavaranish. Then there's another line, which is like a bavaranish for the bavaranish. We know the musagim. There is a musag of neshamas libnei nosh, of neshamas datzilis. Neshamas datzilis is l'chura not biyah. So the answer for that is beseder. That's chad bedara. Those are unique people. That's not part of the conversation. So the Frierdiker Rebbe is Bapasha just trying to bavarin these kashas. Now, why would we have these kashas? I don't know. Bapasha se felt nicht aus to bavarin these kashas. Aber lass mal sagen that we're dealing with somebody who's going to ask these kashas. So the answer is that neshamas the biyah are for the biyah, and neshama that tzilas is bichlal part of this conversation. It's only chad bedara. Again. The Rebbe is mechadish in our Mamar as nishtaz. The reason we bring in the word of neshamas is not a bavaranish. It's because this is the nukuda of the Mamar. The nukuda of the whole Hamshich Basi Legani is to reden wegen a Yid macht adire betachteinin. And how do we do this as Aved Neshamas? So over here is where the Sif Yud Gimel starts coming back to the nukuda of the Hamshich Basi Legani to the Aved of Dire betachteinin. Which is nicht stam not pshat. It's like it's nothing to do. It's just, if you know the Hamshich Basi Legani, we're in the middle of a story. The Chlal Lamata and Tach has nothing to do yet with Dire betachteinin. The Yitzraelim is Lamala den Ketz. That's going to erst happen from Siftas Vav. And the Aved of Neshamas Yisrael happens later. Yud Zayin, Yud Ches, the Nitzochen, Amulchame, the Netzach V'Heid, Melech's Mashal Chayiv Mineged. So that's, we're in the middle of a story. So clearly what the Rebbe is doing over here is we're taking Sif Yud Gimel and making it into a limud b'fnei atzmei. And this is, the Rebbe is not learning now Tavshin Yud, we're learning now Tavshin Chav Gimel. It's Anaya Mamar. We're using within the framework of Tavshin Yud, but mezok the Anaya Vot, that there's Aved of Neshamas Yisrael, and their Aved is to bring in Ein Sof Lamata Adin Tachis. And that's why we start discussing Parch Neshmas and Ben Nosh. So then noch a shtickle. Chad bedar. Yeah, that's the next piece over here. So for pastors we said it's only a bavaranish. Sagt the Rebbe no. Nicht stam it's not a bavaranish, it's necessary to understand for the Aved of Neshamas Yisrael. Because bichlal, in the Mamar, look at it there in Yossi, over there we bring the chiluk zwischen Neshamas Datzilis and Neshamas Debiyah, without getting into all the complexities. But there's in Neshamas Datzilis different kinds. And we're talking over here about a unique kind of Neshama Datzilis, which is Meishe, und in jeder Deir is das, Pashtus is the Meishe, Shape Kamer as the Gemara says, so we call somebody Meishe, even though he was living the Deir Amiroim. Zetman says, da musik from Meishe every day, and that's the Chad Bedar. Zog the Rebbe, and even in our day, the Frierdiker Rebbe didn't say that, the Rebbe adds, Befrat b'der Yisenu Eile is doch sicher as Why Befrat is sicher? That needs clarification. And over here, Zog the Rebbe the bomb. A totally new taich in the word Chad Bedar. The Pashta taich Chad Bedar is he's one in a generation. Tahainu, he's unique. As a tzaddik, he's not a regular person. The Rebbe taich is not one in a generation, he's one of the generation. Or I don't know how to say it. It's in the generation. Tahainu is the Chad from der day. He's not separate from the day, Adarab. He's the Chad Bedar. Dahainu, as what's the union of this neshama d'atzilis, he is the life force of the day, Memela alle neshamas Yisrael sind inklulim in em, and the shesh meser frag le'am, v'yetash es klolus Yisrael, and that's his pashtus the ratio b'chol daravada. So the Rabbi we've seen the Rebbe set up two strong yesaitis. One is Mereda Daveda only Neshamas Yisrael could do this union of Mamshich Zayin Erin Sof Lamata Din Tachlis. Number two, it's necessary the union of Chad Bedara. It's not Bavaranish. This is the Nakuda. The Taj Chad Bedara is as on a Rebbe is the Raveda Nishayach. And it's negaya to understand for this union. That is the Neshama Datzilis. This is the Rebbe brings from the Maimar Yossi. Agav, Mamish, Agav. The Rebbe says that the Friedrich Rebbe brings in the Maimar Yossi, yeah, because there's a Marmokim in Tafshin Yud. So, just we know who wrote those Marmokims, yeah. The Rebbe is not quoting the Friedrich Rebbe. He's explaining now why, it basically being mefaneach the ha'ara of Tafshin Yud, so you should understand what now in Tafshin Chav Gimel the Tzelter that's what he meant over there. Yeah. The Rebbe said once, in Tafshin Yud Aleph, that the reason why was man zugelegt im Marmakim ist, als man gesehen, dass da Indien was nicht verstandig, was felt Biur, so there's the Marmakim is over there in order to be Mashal and Biur. So this is a dogma for that, was hat sich der Yam aufgetan. Good. One more nekuda, the Magid. As Shir Ashir. Der Yid singen mit allem Malachim. Und alle Nivro. So heißt es, there's a Shir, was through him becomes Shir in Harb. That's the word of the Magid. Because why? Because the Yid is Pnimi Yisrael. So I was introducing a new Yisrael. Not that the Yid is special, the way sometimes we describe Neshamas Yisrael. The Yid is the Pnimis of the world. And because he's the Pnimis of the world, so when he says something, the whole world comes with him. Yeah, al derech, sagt der Rebbe, machshava dibur u'maisa. So, in order to have, in the dibur, there should be chachma v'seichel, you need to have, nicht stam dibur, there has to be machshava, because the machshava is the pnimis of the dibur. Now, when the Rebbe said the Maimer, the Rebbe also said, changed the lashon, yeah? The Rebbe didn't say only chachma v'seichel, like the Maggid says. The Rebbe added the word tainuk, which is a fundamental thing. It's a shot that it's not in this hanocha, because it's not. I mean, I'm always though like dakas to kichanukim. Because a yisod though, which is l'chulu going to be very negaya for the hemshech and yom. As what the Rebbe is saying is, as when a yid zogt shira, so the malachim zogen nechet shira, and the world comes with it. Al derech, that machshava is the pnimius of dibur, because the machshava is a keli for chachma v'seichel, and the Rebbe added time. So was tut sich da? So let's come back to our nukud over here being mamshich erin sof lamata din tachlis, and let's just summarize to make sure we're still on the same page. Getangeheben, mamshich sein erin sof lamata din tachlis means that there's going to be an expression of bligvul of the Eibishter in every place in the world. That's the nukuda of Erin Sof Lamata Din Tachlis. The Hainu, like this mashal, like a father tells his son, there's no place where you are and no inyan in you where I, the very I, is nishfar. So the Rebbe explained, the Sinish Stamazeh, says, do I spashtus and stagil, and both of them are true. Both of them are naked. What's the Taj Gili? As this Erin Sof is not just going to come and penetrate the Nivra, he's going to permeate the Nivra. He's going to become the very Metzias of the Nivra. That's a Taj Gili. So we saw the way in Atzilus is Eini Pella, when in Biyah is a Pella. What's the dogma for it? Chayes. Bepashtus. That's what I'm saying in Tovshin Yud. That's the Atam Chayes Kulam. That's how the Hemshech Inyanim goes. So, the way we finished off before is that when the Friedrich Rebbe says Vatam Chayes Kulam, if we learn that the Chespashtus Vegili is Pshat in Tovshin Yud, so the Hemshech Inyanim, so the Chayes is the expression of Gili. And that, generally speaking, works. I mean, biyachas to other things, for sure, Chayes is more pnimi, und so hatten sich Einien vernetzen. But clearly over here, the Rebbe is saying much more than that. And we're disregarding Chayes. Because, Kanal, we're learning Perik Yud Gimel, it's a besondere Sach, we're beferish not going to Perik Yud Dalet. It says, da Inyan von Erin Sof Lamata Adin Tachlis, his pashtus, Vegilui, and Chayes is not good enough. Why is Chayes not good enough? L'chore. Because Sof, what did we do in Chayes? We found how mitzad echad is the pnimis of the davar, ule'idoch it's an inyan atzmi. But bedakus, let's dissect. Let's take apart what's happening in Chayes. There's a part of him which is pnimi. In other words, the hand is now alive and fresh because the Chayes hat im ganzen durchgenommen. Could I say the hand has bligvul? No. Atzmi is dov. The Chayes has to be dovuk. It's a tnu of bligvul. But he doesn't. There's no bligvul right here in my hand. If not, the hand with plots. The hand is not a kli for bligvul betzim. How could I have as the tachten hot in sich ein sof? Yeah, in Beloshen Achsidis, when we say Einim is Aravi Moim, that's only Benegei Eir, not Benegei Chayes. We make that distinction clearly. So Sof is Chayes. We don't want to be mistaken with this. I mean, if there wanted to be in anything else, I think we would have been happy with it, because it has an inyan of Gil. But Gil name it like this: the part of Chayes which comes Pnimi, that's Taki Gili. But the bligvul shebei is here lamaroi sadavar. The bligvul shebei is not expressed in this. Al Kaponim, clearly the Rebbe does not want to be Mekabel Chayes. Was yet, the Aveda von Shamas Yisrael. A Yid brings into the world Ein Sof. Now what we're going to have to do is understand why a Yid is mitzad echad gili, pnimi, or le'idach it's Ein Sof. So why is the Yid pnimi? Pashtus. The Yid is, first of all, a part of the Bri. Chelek alika, alles gut and fine. He is a nivra, he's not bad. If someone would go and bow down to a Yid, it's called Avodah Zarah. He's nivra, he's not bad. So, we have over here in this world, a piece of this world, which is a different kind of nivra. Kommt von Machshaven, nicht von Dibur. He's a lekus shenasa nivra. Aber ist geblieben nivra. That's the uftu of a neshama. As the Eibush hat reingelegt a Sache in the Welt, which is a leki, but it became the Metzias of the world. Now, so nicht Stamme became the Metzias of the world. The Lashon over here is it became the Pnimius of the world. How did it become the Pnimius? So this is, the Rebbe doesn't say Taicho is clearly over here, but das ist, I mean, was steht überall? That the Matore Sabri, Melachatchila is B'shal HaTeiru B'shal Yisrael, and Mamele, he is the Pnimius of the world. The Chayes of the world, and the Kavana of the world. What is the world really is the Yid. So the Taich Neshamas Yisrael is not just he also exists in the world, he is the Pnimius of the world. And therefore, when a Yid sagt Shira to the Eibishter, singen mit allen Malachim. Everything follows that. Therefore, a Yid can mamshech sein Ein Sof in Welt. And it becomes the Metzias of the world. What's the problem? How is the Tzid Ein Sof? Maybe he was Ein Sof, but he was created. Today he's not Ein Sof. He's Neshamas de Biyah. So auf dem sagt man, sie da Neshamas da Atzilus. And Neshamas da Atzilus haben wir doch auch geredet, and this is the whole Arichas, as in Atzilus is eine Pelle, Kelim da Atzilus, have Ein Sof. So if there's Neshamas da Atzilus, could carry Ein Sof. And since Neshamas da Atzilus have Ein Sof, we have over here an union of Ein Sof Mamish. Fine. I mean, I can answer the question. We have Neshamas de Biyah, which are Gilu, Neshamas da Atzilus, which is Ein Sof, but what's the connection? Zogt man, as the Neshama da Atzilus is the Chad Bedora. He is the Chayis Pnimi of this Neshama. You're right. Lulei, Rebeloshan Atani. So the Rosh Alpha Yisrael is the Neshama ki Neshama nicht. He was a Neshama, but now he's Biyah. How does the Neshama de Biyah remain Davuk, Kamoshul, the Tziperin Sheberegel, connected with the Melech Shebarosh Ha'av, is through the Melech Shebeben. Meaning, the Neshamas da Atzilus are not just a different kind of the Neshama. They're the Neshamas of the Neshamas. So, in Ein Vart, the Nekuda over here that we're saying is Azeh. Ein Sof is Mer Lamata Adin Tachlis, how? Basi is da Rebbe, who he is Ein Sof, because it's Atzilus, Neshama da Atzilus. And because there are Yidden who are connected to him, he gives them Chayis. So they bring this Ein Sof into the world, because they are world. They're the Pnimis of world. Let's just clarify. Let's go back to the Magid. So Dom Machshav, which is the Neshama. It's Neshama de Biyah. Neshama de Biyah trokt in sich Chochme v'Seichel, which is Atzilus, which is Keiches HaNefesh. Und nicht Stam Chochme v'Seichel. That wouldn't help me. We need Ein Sof. Tainuk, which is Ein Sof. Because the Neshamas da Biyah are connected to Neshamas da Atzilus, which is Chochme v'Seichel. Da Hainu was in Zeh liegt Ein Sof, which is Tainuk. We see, but I'll see this as yet Atik, Inyan of Tainuk is Inyan of Blikvul. Therefore, they carry a Blikvul in the Welt. Because they're the Pnimis of Welt. Und das ist auch die Nekude von der ganzen Maimer. So, where do we see Eretz Sof is Mer Lamata Adin Tachlis? Poshet. So the Neshama da Atzilus, so the Neshama is the Biyah, and the Neshama da Atzilus is the Memutze between Ein Sof, bringing an union of Ein Sof, of Blikvul, to Neshamas the Biyah, which becomes the Pnimis of Welt. It's the Gilu, it's Welt Ale. Now, once you have this Yisod, this runs through the whole mind. L'moshel, there's the whole arichis about klippe, coffee table. Yeah? So what sagt man? Klippe is coffee table. Pare Melech Mitzrayim is coffee table. Why? Because Yankiv wanted the bench. So what's the vart? So first of all, we're talking about Yankiv. The Weiter. So Doda Rebbe, who wanted to come and bring a bracha to Pare. Is the Rebbe Meisif two Nekudas? The Mittler Rebbe is Meisif. What was Yankiv giving him? Eiden Elyon, Tainuk, Ein Sof. Because that's what we have to Bavar. And the Tzemach Tzedek is Meisif. How did he want to give it to him? In a Eifen that's going to be L'Tevase. That it's going to be in a Eifen as he's going to become L'Tzeves Leze. The ganze Geder von Mitzrayim geht sein, in Yonam is going to be at L'Tevase, L'Tzeves Leze, to serve Yidden. So, once I have this Yisod, we want to be Mechaber Inyan from Blikvul into the Welt. Durch der Yankiv is verstandig why it's important to bring in the middle of the Rebbe as Einig Elyon, Eiden Elyon, and it's important to understand why it becomes the Metzias of the world. The Lashon L'Tzeves is there was the Rebbe Zaysof. In the Tzemach Tzedek. Now, it's very interesting, it's just to know how Basi Legani's work. Bichlal Basi Legani said, though every year the Rebbe stellt sich on one sif. but always the first sif in the Hanachas is always a sikkum of everything that happened till now, and the last sif is like a sikkum of the rest of the Hamshach. Yeah? Now, obviously, if you're writing a sikkum, we don't have over here 12 parakim. It's taken out selected pieces. Certain pieces come into the sikkum, and every year it's different. Which nukudas of the Hamshach are going to come in? So it's clear, it's a letzach in Pashtus, that the nukudas that the Rebbe brought out are the nukudas that are going to be neged to the vort over here for this Maimer. Now, there's one vort which the Rebbe repeats, sai in the beginning of the Maimer, and sai at the end. This is like obviously very fundamental for what is this Maimer, what's Tafshach of Gimel, how we seeing the whole thing in Tafshin Yud. What's the vort? So there are Eitzara Elyon, and so there are Anshe Chai. But in order for the Eitzara Elyon to come to the Anshe Chai, you need the Pekidei HaChai. The Pekidei HaChai can't do the Arbit. Kol Inyonon is as the Anshe Chai understand. Le'idach, obviously the Anshe Chai, why didn't the Melech give it to the Anshe Chai? Because the Anshe Chai has to come through Pekidei HaChai. This is mamish this word. Says do ein sof, the Eitzara Elyon, which is coming through the Pekidei HaChai of the Rebbe. That's the way the Rebbe always types it, generally. Sometimes it was very rare. The Rebbe said that the Melech is the Rebbe, but usually the Melech is the Eibush and the Pekidei HaChai is the Rebbe. And Anshe Chai is Chassidim. And this is the arbit of the Pekidei HaChai, the Neshamas da Atzilis, to be Mechaber, to be the Chad Bedorah, to connect the Yidden, as in Zezel Leichten Ein Sof. Till now is mamish galat. Just if one word, it's interesting. There are those which want to say now it's there is asach shraib and alle tun in them that everyone's familiar with the Baal Shem Tov, yeah? That we brought Elims, Neshamas, and Elokus. In Elims, Neshamas, and Elokus, there were two shittas. There's the Mikdash Melech and the Ramaz. Now, the Pashtus, the Hemshech and Yonim, it's felt neshes to bring the whole pilpul of the Machlekes. What was the Inyan? We brought it for Iwe Garmei Chad, which has nothing to do with that. It's a vart which says all over. So why did we need this whole pilpul of Elimus, Neshamas, and Elokus? So Sedo Azelch was Willem Tainen. I don't know, I just heard it from the Mendel Cohen in California, but I heard that others are also saying the same thing. I think Gollum also wrote it. That there's the Mikdash Melech and the Ramas. The Pashtan of Gemina will come out, what are Neshamas? Is Neshamas Bria or is Neshamas Atzilus? Yeah? Is Elim Neshamas Alakus Atzilus Bria Tzira? Is Elim Neshamas Alakus in Sof Atzilus and Biyam? Now if Gemina comes out on Neshamas Bria or Neshamas Atzilus. So in other words, learning the Maim, and Bichlal, learning such a Maim is all a guessing game, trying to figure out how to put the pieces together. But it's very possible that what's happening over here is that the Rebbe is lachatchila setting the stage, that there are two kinds of neshamas. And they are both true, they are both valid, in Shnei and Emes. Es ist richtig zu sagen, als was ist eine Neshama ist Biyah, ist Bria. Und es ist richtig and it's important to understand that Neshama is Atzilus. And once I understand that these two things exist, then I can understand what's the plan. This is how Ein Sof comes Lamata. I can't work, I need the Anshe Chai, I need the Pekidei HaChai. I need both of them. Now, V'asa Shapir, you said the word of it is obviously the Neshamas Atzilus. As the Neshamas and Atzilus to Gezach. That's we want to get to the Chad Bedor. He's the one, that's where the Ein Sof is. Aber we're not being shayl the other word. We're saying, Sedot are zwei sorten Neshamas, and a Yid, through its Aveda in this world, he changes the world. Now, two monokudas. Bichlal, in the Maimer, the Rebbe doesn't tie choice how the Yid brings down himself into the world. Shir Hashirim. Zeh nicht choice getouched. In the first Sikha of the Fabrengen, Tashuk of Gimel, there's three Sikhas before the Maimer, and in many ways, we could look at that as Akdam for the Maimer. The Rebbe starts off the Fabrengen with a Yid brengt arop bligvul a inyan von Ein Sof in the Welt. That's the Aveda of a Yid. He lives in Zman, which is Gvul, and he could bring, the Lashon of the Rebbe is Nitzchias. Bringen ein Inyan von Nitzchias into Zman. And that's what happens through Torah Mitzvahs. Pastors, everyone goes through an Avedic Sprach, every person could feel Bichlal, that the world is Arai, and it's a Zmani. And when a Tuta Mitzvah bringt da rein ein Inyan von Nitzchias, because now this thing that he does, this is going on over Nitzchi. So, it's not just the way it's in the Maimon, as a Yid, by being in this world. He's connected with Ein Sof. The way we were taught it is, as a Rebbe, bringt rein Ein Sof, bringt rein Mesiras Nefesh, bringt rein Gilui from Pnimis HaTorah, whatever it is, which is the Eitzer HaElyum, which is delivered to Anshe Chai, was tragen Ein Sof. Yeah? Nor the Yid, tut Ein Sof in Welt. This is the Taka Ein Sof Lamata Mata Adin Tachlis. We're bringing Ein Sof into the world. I don't think it's a Davar Rachik to say that Siche is mamish touching up. If this is the word of the Maimer, then it's Pasha saying it's saying the bottom line, was will man da sagen, is mamish sein in Sof in Welt. Through doing a mitzvah. Und das ist kommen nach durch Neshama Yisrael. Kanal, but the Atmachai is kolom, alles gut und fein, it's not doing that. We don't have that the world carries Ein Sof. And then the Rebbe continued, also before the Maimer, but Zari B'chaim. So, Hu B'chaim ve Zari B'chaim. Fragt the Rebbe, so Loshen Zari B'chaim, so Talmidov, Bonov. So Zari, the Loshen Zera is to plant a seed. How could you tell that the seed is alive? Obviously, if there's growth. And Adam Zereh Kur Echad, not just to get back a core, nor that there should be a lot of problems. So the Rebbe teaches us, a Rebbe pflanzt ein Chsidim, that there should be a tefeach amanos la tefeach, that there should be a zari v'zera zari. And that's the raya that Hu B'chaim. In what way is he alive? Where do you see his life? If you see as a nebdurt, as he was Zereya Zera. Which, again, the word over here is, as Sedar Rebbe, as Rach Sidim, so Pkidei Chai, so Anshe Chai, Vu is Faran, is Faran by the Anshe Chai. Where do you see that? In Sof. Was Eine Pelas is made in Kenem Datzilis. Where do you see that he's really Ein Sof? The only way to see that he's really Ein Sof is if it comes down in the Shams Debiyah. If they're connected to him. Yamut is a lebedik. For sure, if we're talking the Sprach of Chayis, that's a touch Chayis, that is Dovik. But even more than that, over here we're talking about coming and changing the world, that's a touch. It's darf sein nicht am Zera, no, es darf sein a Zera von der Zera. And then you could see, as man gebracht Ein Sof in the Gedarim from the Welt, Lamata Adinta.